Drifting in Need for Speed Unbound. It's gonna be changing, and I am absolutely here for it. Now, a long while ago, I checked out this mod, which essentially changes the drifting completely. However, I have lost the skill to actually drive on this mod, and I'm not going to actually show you. It is properly difficult, and that's something we need to discuss. Essentially, the drifting is changing, and I think there's some big inspiration, maybe not even inspiration, maybe stuff taken from a pretty popular drifting mod that's available. And I'm going to let other people demonstrate exactly what this is all about. As I said, I may have lost the skill a little bit. So we are genuinely a few days away, as in next week, the new update will be coming out, bringing the new drifting to light. What we know is it's a new way to drift in the game. What we don't know is, will it replace it? Will it be an addition? Will we be able to do all the old drift events and drift challenges? And just as I'm doing this, they've just gone and announced a part of the update. That, my friends, right there is a new Mustang with a turbo gate on the damn wheel. Yep. I just wonder if that's trying to show us a glimpse of the new handling, or if it's not. It seems very similar. We'll see. We'll see. So we checked out this drift mod a long while ago, and essentially this is done through a mod editor known as Frosty. The Frosty mod editor allows you to modify certain things, certain values within the game, swap parts and items between vehicles. It allows you to basically modify what's already there. It's pretty limited in terms of Need for Speed. In terms of actually importing things, we generally just change them around. And that's ultimately what gives us Unite. And so it's pretty safe to assume that if we have developer access, we have access to these Frosty tools, well, so do the damn developers themselves. Which they could probably have more control over those files that are created by other people using their tools. Basically, what I'm saying is I think they probably took the handling, or maybe multiple handling changes, maybe over the ones of Need for Speed Heat and beyond, well, further. If they have access and someone's already done it, they probably were able to pick apart pieces of this handling model and obviously try and make it maybe a little bit more easy to use. Because I've got to say, as someone that jumps into this handling model every now and again, it's properly difficult, and it was quite difficult to have fun with without spending such a long time working, to the point where I jumped back into it, and as I said, I could not do it at all. By the way, the link for all these specific videos I'm using are going to be down below in the description if you want to check them out. They are so awesome, and these guys are incredibly talented. Like this drifting of an F40. So incredibly smooth, but hopefully I'm hoping that they're taking inspiration from this. Whether they picked it apart or not, that's just my guess. They very much could have done that to see exactly how people have done this and how they've done it themselves, so that they could implement it into their actual drift update. Either way, it very, in my opinion, very much inspired them to see what they could do with their game if other people can do it with their game. It just makes so much sense. This looks incredibly smooth, that's something that people have really been looking forward to. Tandem drifting is just not a thing that happens in Need for Speed because it's such a wonky drifting model. The problem previously is that the handling became a blend of grip and drift. It was dictated by a slider, but inherently they are completely different ways to drive, and that's why I've said previously that Need for Speed did handling best, like in Underground 2, or for a more recent option, Need for Speed Payback. They had a full-on drift handling, and in my opinion, the most fun drift handling to exist. Now, if they made a blend of the handling we just saw mixed with Need for Speed Payback, I think we are in for a damn treat. It's definitely going to be arcade. It's going to be more drift sim than the current drift handling, but it's still very much going to be Need for Speed, and I am so happy for it. We've actually seen within racing games in general, there's been a huge popularity in terms of CarX. Even still to this day, CarX Drift is doing pretty damn well at bringing people in and just ultimately driving around aimlessly doing tandems. And that's something, the social aspect, that's really been missing from Need for Speed Unbound, in my opinion. The problem was it was so segregated in that there were people wanting to do races and there were people wanting to have fun. And the people having fun, generally, they were forced to do races because no one was having fun. Everyone was trying to do races and everyone wanted to do their own races, and you get the idea. But now things are going to change because we have got the free roam aspect. The free roam is going to be for the free roam and the drifting around and the having fun. And you know for a fact, if you want to play such as tandem drift and have fun, the free roam is going to be the place to be. If you want to do the more competitive, the PvP playlists are going to be full drift and drag centric for the next while. And I think it's also a good thing that it doesn't replace this mod. It'll be interesting to see if they could take it even further with this, because this is always going to be a much more precise, much more dialed in handling. I just don't think Need for Speed will go this aggressive to the point where I could not control it. We're not looking at some like next level stuff here, but I think it's actually similar in that the people that created this mod, along with Criterion, you ultimately kind of forget that the people that are playing a game haven't really dialed into the handling in the same amount of time you have. I think there's a big problem that a lot of games have, more so smaller games, but completely irrelevant point. The more you replay something, you're gonna adapt and learn how the handling, the quirks and the issues. But if you're jumping between different games all the time, like a lot of us are, we're jumping between Gran Turismo, Need for Speed, The Crew, when you forget a little quirk of the handling, for example, go back to 2015 and try and do something in that game, like I did again recently, and you will find it is extremely difficult to dial in and focus and be really good at the drifting or any kind of driving in 2015. But since the Need for Speed is now fully cross-play, you can play with PC, Xbox, PlayStation, and more people than ever are obviously buying new gen consoles, Need for Speed really has a chance to crack into that CarX market, because CarX is having a little bit of trouble right now. Even the biggest of CarX fanboys are calling out some issues. And as much as I hate that it's the case, licensed cars do attract people into the game more so. So it's sometimes on a sale cheaper than CarX. It has better drifting and progression and story, and they might have just destroyed CarX for the 5 people that still play the game. I'm sorry. So that brings me to my question for you guys. In terms of the actual drifting now being here, a new level of drifting, again, not to jump the gun, but it's pretty safe to assume is going to be inspired by this at the very least. Does this interest you enough to jump back into the game? Just the drifting alone. We're not talking about drag racing or anything else they add in the next update. New cars will obviously attract people in, like the potential new Mustang they were just demonstrating. I mean, considering all the cars are now going to have completely new handling, I wonder, is it going to change all the cars to rear-wheel drive? Are they going to be all-wheel drive but with a different bias in terms of the handling? Is it going to convert drivetrains essentially? Is it going to be a drivetrain swap that swaps things out? Are we going to be able to use it in the open world? Are we going to be able to use it in the old drift events? I can't wait to rediscover, because I'm sure all the handling specifics and the weight and situations of the cars is all going to be very, very different. We might end up with some quirkiness, considering it's a small team. It's not super dialed in to the point of like a launch of a game, where just because of the weight situation, a heavy truck might end up being a better drift car than like a light car. There's a new meta that's going to be born. I'm very, very excited to rediscover Need for Speed. Look at the line on that. That is so insane. Reminder, I'll link all these in the description if you want to check it, because those are amazing. If you want to find people to join in and do some tandems and some drifting with, you're in the right place already. Make sure you actually join the Discord link down below in the description, because there's definitely going to be people in there that are wanting to tandem and drift and slide on this new handling next week. I seriously think right now would be a pretty good time to have leaderboards come to the game, because there's going to be a whole new slew of people wanting to compare and contrast. Damn. If they've got... Where is Autolog, by the way? What the hell? I've only just realized that it's missing from the game. It's almost been 2 pissing years. Someone that's not massively that into drifting specifically, I put a lot of effort into drifting on The Crew. So maybe I'll do the same here. I'm going to beat Matthew. It's finally going to happen. Thanks for joining us, and I'll see you in the next one, where I'll be able to drift a lot better than I did here. I hope. Check out this. Related to the very important.